Hello everyone, this is Julia. Thank you so much for joining me on my craft room adventures. Today I have another Challenge a Crafty Friend card to share with you. As you can see from my previous videos, my friend Leanne and I have come up with quite a lot because we were kind of in a funk with the whole coronavirus scare and everything just being so uncertain, and we thought a challenge might help us get our crafty mojo back. And so far it's really been working, and this is the latest installment. And this challenge was to create a Slimline card using the Dandy Day stamp set by Fawn. So I started by stamping out all of the images onto Neenah's Solar White cardstock, and I'm just using some Copic markers to color them in. For my mice I'm using E50s, E55, E53 as my second darkest shade, blending that out with E51, and then E50. I will also be adding a little bit of E50 onto the bellies of the mice, just for a little bit of additional shading. And that's actually one of the things I love about coloring with Copic markers compared to zigs, because you can just color in one shade on all of the images, then go in with the next and blend that out. Whereas with the zigs you have to do one image at a time because the color would sink into the paper too much and you can't blend it out as well. So I've really been enjoying coloring with Copics because it's fast, and I've kind of found some combinations I really like those E50s. I just love those. And yeah, just doing 2 coats on my little mice. Just use the E50 to blend it out. Now going back in with some E53 for additional shading. Not going in with the E55 because I didn't want them to be too dark, but just a little bit more definition. Then with the E51 again. And then the E50. I will also be using some E55 for their little noses. Now, like I did in my previous videos, I'm just going to use some makeup blush and a Q-tip to add some color to the cheeks and the insides of the ears of my critters. I still think this is really crazy, but it's working, so I'm just going to keep doing it. Just using E57 and E55 for the little net. This image is from Butterfly Kisses, just like the butterflies and the clouds. And for my flowers, I'm using Y21, Y11, and Y00. Just one layer of the color because those images are so small. And now with a Y00, just blending that out. I'm also going to be using the same yellows for the butterflies, but I will also be adding in some orange, which is YR02 and YR00. Some I just did the YR colors and just faded it out with a blender. And for some I did the orange with some yellow tips of the wings for the butterflies, which I also really liked. Just giving them a nice color fade. For my greens, I'm using G29 as my darkest shade, G17 as my mid-tone, and as my 2 lightest shades I'm using G02 and G00. There isn't much area to shade, but on those leaves for the bigger flowers I really like to have the 4 colors there because the G29 just adds a lot of depth, which I really like. blending that out with a GO2, and then finally going in with the G00 to blend everything together. For the fluff on the dandelions, I'm just running some W00 over it. I die cut a panel of Bristol smooth cardstock using the second largest stitched rectangle Slimline die by Trinity stamps. And I'm just using my Fawn cloud stencil to ink blend some light colored clouds. For this I'm using the squeezed lemonade, just running it along the bottom as well, just in case the grass doesn't cover everything. I also die cut the grass panel using the Fawn Grassy edge stencil, edge die, or Grassy border die, I'm sorry. Then I'm using some dried marigold. I'm just trying to find a spot where to line up the stencil. And then for my top layer, I'm using Abandoned Coral. This color just really lightly because I didn't want the color too dark. I wanted it to be kind of a pastel sky. Then for my Grassy Hill panel, I'm using cracked pistachio and pine needles. And I will be also adding some splatters of both of those, just for some added interest. Off camera, I also die cut the largest of the scalloped rectangles by Trinity stamps, just to layer that behind my ink blended panel. And I've just run the cracked pistachio over the entire grassy panel, and that I'm just adding some pine needles to the top edge, just for some definition. Here I'm just adding the splatters. I just smushed the ink pads onto my craft mat, added some water. I'm not adding too many, just for a little bit more interest. And now to add some glitter or some sparkle to the dandelions, I'm using the Versamark. And I will also be using the Wow Clear Sparkle embossing powder. I just added it to all of those, and for glitter embossing powder I like to heat them from behind first. Here you can see the pretty glitter, because otherwise you might just blow all the glitter away with your heat tool. I wanted some of the flowers to face the other direction, so I just cut off the stems and glued them on the other way so that I would have two flowers, one facing in each direction, because I just think that looks a lot nicer. And then I'm just assembling my little flower duos. And there you can see the result, and I really do like that a lot. I'm just adding some tape runner to the scalloped piece of white cardstock, and I'm adding the panel as well. I just made sure to cover the edges of the stitched panel with additional tape runner, just because I wasn't quite sure how far to take out the tape runner on the scallop piece, so I just added it to both. Then I added some foam tape to the back of the grass panel, removing the backing paper and adding it to the background. Now to add some more interest and sparkle to the background, I wanted to add lots of dandelions. So I'm using the VersaFine Clear ink in Morning Mist, which is just a medium shade of gray. And what I really love about the VersaFine Clear inks is that they stay wet a bit longer, so you can heat emboss them. So I'll just use the clusters from the Dandy Day stamp set with the dandelion pieces. And I'm also using the Wow Clear Sparkle embossing powder again. I'll just do it in batches so that the ink doesn't dry on me before I can add the powder. Just added the larger clusters, now I'm adding the little ones of 3 that come with the Dandy Day stamp set. and I'm also adding a few of the individual ones. Off to the side I had already turned on my heat gun, and then I'm just heating that from behind just a little bit. My panel did warp a bit, but I was able to flatten it out by just I just heated it up a bit and then put some acrylic blocks over it to just flatten it out slightly. For my net of the little what is it even called? I'm not sure. The one that comes with a butterfly kisser stamp set. I wanted the net to be translucent, so I just stamped it onto vellum and heat embossed it in white. And then I just cut off the piece that was cardstock on the regular stamped image and glued the vellum piece on the back. And I also added some sparkly dandelions into that. Now I'm just using some glue to add the images to my critters. And as you can see, I also added foam tape to the back. I stamped the sentiment onto a piece of cardstock and die cut it with the Lawn Fawn simple wavy banners. And it's just the sentiment that comes with a Dandy Day stamp set that reads "Have a Dandy Day." And now it's time to add my images to the scene. Just removing the backs of the foam tape. Then I realized that it was probably best if I added the little flower clusters before, so that I would know where to add everything else. Those I will just be adding down with liquid glue behind the Grassy panel. I made sure to not add too many foam squares behind there, so that I would have some room to stick things behind if I needed. Now I'm also adding in the larger dandelions. Here you can see the little net that I added behind, and I really do think that the vellum adds a nice touch. Realized that I needed to move my flower just a tad bit to the right so that it wouldn't be completely covered up by the mouse. I wanted both of those to be approximately at the same level, so I had to pull them up again and put them back down. Then my little flying mouse on the dandelion, which I think is just the cutest thing ever. I had to move my flower for that again as well. Probably should have laid that out before. And then I'm just adding him in. Now I'm just using the other images to fill out the scene. That was some of the dandelion pieces, but I didn't think they worked that well. Now I'm just adding in some butterflies, and I also have yet to add the sentiment strip. I just cut off the little end so that it's a flat edge against the stitched rectangle. And the other still has that little banner cut out, which I think looks really nice. Just trying to figure out the placement for the rest of the images, but I decided not to add any of the additional elements because that would have just been too much. Added in the butterfly, and that finishes off my card for today. I really hope you enjoyed this one. I had a lot of fun making it. Down below I will also link to Leanne's video to see what she created for her part of the Dandy Day Slimline Card Challenge. On screen I will link to 2 more videos that may interest you. I hope wherever you are you're staying safe and healthy. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye!